Hello and welcome to the channel. Tottenham Hotspurs 1, Chelsea 4. This was a fantastic game of football. It had everything. 5 goals scored, 4 goals disallowed, and 2 red cards, and also a lot of VAR controversial decisions. So let's get started. At the beginning, Tottenham had Chelsea on the ropes. Tottenham was in control. Tottenham scored first, and it seemed that Tottenham was gonna get the best of Chelsea, and Chelsea players were shocked about the intensity that Spurs had, about the momentum, about the atmosphere at Lane. Tottenham had everything at the beginning to win this football match. However, their players had a rush of blood to their heads. In particular, the usual suspects, Romero and Udogie. Udogie, I know, is a hot-headed player, so I'm not surprised that in this game of such a magnitude, Udogie lost his head. But what I'm surprised is Romero is a World Cup winner. Romero is a very experienced player and should have shown leadership. But instead, those two players in particular thrown the game out. After the sending off, after those players were sent off, Tottenham totally collapsed. So Tottenham is in control and they scored first. But those two players, Romero and Udogie, they had warnings because Udogie had a two-footed tackle on Sterling and he got a yellow card. And he didn't learn his lesson. And Romero had a reckless tackle, which VAR looked at and considered it was reckless instead of dangerous, and he got away with it. But this is where the manager needs to step up. This is where the manager needs to step in and say to Romero, you have to keep your head. Or even better, the manager should have taken those players off. Because I'm not Spurs manager, but I know that those players their temperament is very suspect. Especially Udogie, who is a young player as well. So Udogie is on a yellow card, and Romero almost got sent off. The manager should have spoke to them. The manager should even substitute those players. But he didn't do that. And those players as well, they didn't learn their lesson. And the captain could also stepped in to speak to those players, to calm them down, say, well, we're in control, we got this. All we have to do is not mess it up, and we have the 3 points. Because I believe that if it wasn't for those players being sent off, Spurs would have won this game. They had it. So, first, Romero didn't learn his lesson, and he goes in a box as well. In the box, he made a reckless tackle with a follow through, almost breaks Chelsea's player's leg. The incident goes to VAR. A penalty is awarded. There was a goal as well in the mix of this. The goal was disallowed. A penalty was awarded, and Romero gets sent off. Now, all of a sudden, Spurs has to change their shape. What's his name? The Chelsea player converted the penalty, and he's 1-1. So goes into the second half, and again, I'm expecting Angel Postecoglou, which I've been very praiseful of, which I praised a lot. However, in this game, I have to be very critical of him for not managing those players, for not managing the game properly. He didn't take Udogie off at halftime when he had the chance. And in the second half, Udogie makes another rush tackle into Sterling. And this time, he thinks he's got enough time to get to the ball, but he doesn't get to the ball in time. Sterling is a fast player as well. So Sterling gets the ball first, and Udogie brings Sterling down. Another yellow card, and this time he gets sent off. But now, what happened after the Udogie's sending off was even more surprising, because Spurs manager decides to play a high line when you have 9 players. Playing a high line against Sterling and against Jackson, who's not slow, and against what's his name, Colin Gallagher, who came on, a player that runs around a lot. That was either brave or stupid, because apparently Postecoglou wants to keep his shape, wants to keep his style, even though he's 2 players down. Forget about your style, forget about your shape. When you're 2 players down, it is called damage limitation. I have to criticize Spurs manager, even though I read some of the comments, Spurs supporters saying that these results show how good the team is, because even with 9 players, they play their style, they play the game. No, playing a high line against 11 men when you have 9 players is suicidal. And this is exactly what happened. Sterling, Gallagher, and Jackson managed to get through the defense, managed to pick that defense apart. Balls through, some of them were intercepted, some of them were offside, but eventually we knew that some of those balls would get through and some of those attacks would result in goal. And it did. Jackson, who doesn't score a lot, had the first hat-trick of his senior career at Chelsea. And this is the easiest hat-trick he will ever have in his life. And all because Postecoglou didn't manage the game properly. Should have taught his defense to sit back, sit tight, put 9 men behind the ball, and go for damage limitation. Instead of trying something fancy, instead of keeping his style, it doesn't matter. It didn't work. It wouldn't work. Any other manager would have shut down. Any other manager would have gone on lockdown. If you want to praise that, fine. But for me, that was a mistake. That was a terrible mistake. And they paid for it. And the most worrying things for Spurs is the fact that they lost 4 players that are not going to be available for the next fixtures. Romero is going to be suspended. Udogie is going to be suspended. Madison came off injury, which could be a hamstring. And the central defender, who I can't remember the name, some Van de Vink or something like that. Anyway, he came off injured as well. And Spurs will miss those players. And this is what we've been saying since the beginning. Spurs is doing well. They are at the top of the league. At the time, they were at the top of the league. They're no longer at the top of the league because City is at the top of the league now. And Spurs lost their first game of the season. But most importantly is how they're going to deal with the injuries, with the suspensions. Because unlike other teams, Spurs does not have the strength in depth to cope with the absence of those players. This is how we're going to see is how Tottenham will cope without those players who are suspended or injured. Anyway, credit to Chelsea. They deserve to win, but Tottenham made it easier for them because Tottenham had Chelsea on the ropes, but Spurs has been Spursy one more time. They messed it up. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. And thank you for watching. And I'll see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.